Thinking about it. There we go. We're live. We are live. Hello.
Hello. Right.
It always seems very staged saying hello at the beginning, seeing that we've been on for 10 minutes beforehand trying to figure out the technology.
I'm going to try and share this onto my timeline.
Cool. Wait and see if we get anybody coming on live. Anyway, just waiting for McGill and Kyle to pop up and start.
Mate, you know they're going to be sick now.
It's going to be dishing out some abuse. So, anyway, guys, this is the first one of these I'm doing. I'm going to just have, I called it an interview, but a chat with various people, local people, mates. And the first one is with Alex, who's actually one of my coaches. And I hate the question at the beginning of every podcast, every interview, everything you ever see, which is tell us a little bit about yourself. So I'm not going to ask you that. Alex, I met virtually Alex in the summer last year. We share a coach. Heard him do a coaching call on under that coach, and was immediately kind of impressed because Alex specializes in a couple of things that I was lacking, which was discipline and consistency. And we've worked together since then. I just wanted to have a chat with Alex, just shoot the shit and see what comes up. But anyway, I don't want to say, tell us a little bit about yourself, but how are you?
I'm good. Busy. Like surprisingly busy considering it's we're in lockdown 3.0. Yeah. I'm good, mate. Yeah.
And the first thing I want to kind of say is the thing that impressed me most when I kind of first listened to you on Paul Mort's coaching, one of those Monday coaching calls. I remember sitting outside on a sunny day in like May or June last year during lockdown 1.0. Was kind of hearing the story of you moving from quite a dark place in your life, quite a bad place in your life, to somebody now who owns a successful business, good levels of fitness, strong mentally, etc., etc. Kind of, how did you go about moving from there to where you are now?
Well, to be honest, I always had the business was always there. In fact, I've had a bigger business than what I run now, like much bigger. But I think that kind of contributed towards my downfall through like just the stresses, the not knowing how to run a business. Like I was managing 10 people at the time, and I'm not a manager. So yeah, I think when I say to people that I've moved from this really dark place to this other place, I think like falsely people assume that I'm great and merry and positive and happy, and that's not always the case. What I've learned over that time is how to deal better with things, like how to be more resilient stuff, how to perceive situations differently, and look at how to cope better, because like life's fucking tough, right? That doesn't change. I got myself into a bit of a mess when I was 28, and I don't want to say all depression is caused by a sequence of events, but most of it is. So like in my case, it was like 10 things happened over a period of time. And ultimately, I cracked up a little bit, went a little bit mental, and hit this real dark, horrible, low place. I can't talk about it, not because I don't want to, but I just don't remember it. Like literally logic was out the window. I don't know what was going on. It wasn't a very nice time. But it's what spurred me into doing what I do now. So, like, you've already mentioned the word discipline. I had to go away and work on myself super hard, like I still do now, just so that I could cope with the world and, how to run a business and all that stuff whilst being in this world. So, although I've transitioned and I've been through a transformation, Stu, but, like, I'm still in one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the things that when we first started talking is you see a lot of people out there, and especially in the coaching world. I know this is a bugbear of yours because you say it to me sometimes when even when I'm not performing, when we're having our check-ins and things, is like there's so many people, as I say, especially in the coaching world, who behave and act like they're the finished article, and not like, as we know, we never are. And what would you say? Because I know there's a good part of people in my network. This is obviously going live to our business page as well, who possibly even with the current events are in a pretty dark place. And, there's tons of things we can say about, get help. It's okay to not be okay, etc. What's the one first action you think that someone should take if they're in that place where like, shit, this is not nice?
Well, going back to your first point about the amount of look, there's a lot of coaches out there, right? There's a lot. And I was definitely one of them who was preaching way more than what I was doing. So I think when you have like a bad time or a depressed moment and you come out of it feeling a bit stronger, I think it's easy to start going, look at me now. And you know what it's like, dude. It's like when you get shredded, right? You all of a sudden start throwing out nutrition advice to all your friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been in that place, which is why I share more of my struggles now. And I've noticed that guys relate more to struggle than they do to success anyway. So I share that part. I talk more about the struggle than the success. But yeah, in terms of advice, look, I know when I was in that place, like, you could have fucking said anything to me, Stu, like anything. It wouldn't have made a difference. It wouldn't have made a difference. I think the only thing I could have done better a little bit was maybe just looked honestly and assessed my situation with a bit more honesty and a bit more courage.
Yeah.
And I'll use the word responsibility. I think taking a little bit more responsibility for where I was at. Because at the time, I think, I was blaming everything in the world and everyone. When really I'd created this mess in my life through my actions. It's just that I got caught out, and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Like, logic says, like, dude, pick yourself up, get some fresh air, just do one thing, pick up the phone, call a mate, all this stuff. But when you're in it, when you're in that dark place, you ain't doing nothing, man. Like, you go into survival, don't you? You just try and get through. Or at least that's what I did anyway. But yeah, that is the thing. I'd say, have a look at what's really happening. I don't think I had the courage to do that at the time. But maybe I would if it happened again. I'm not sure. And it's weird, dude. Even with all the knowledge I've got, if I fell back to those dark times, I'm not sure I'd do anything differently. I haven't got that much confidence in myself that I do.
Yeah.
Because you just don't.
On that point. And guys, if any of you've got any questions, pop in the comments, because we can see them pop up. So if you've got questions for Alex or for me or for both of us. But actually, and we haven't rehearsed this, we purposely didn't have a list of questions. But something I wrote down here when I was prepping for this was, do you think your journey from where you were to where you consider it's relatively recently, in the grand scheme of things, it's relatively recently, do you think that's helped you deal with the last year and all this stuff that's been thrust on us from externally? Has that resilience helped?
Without a doubt. Like, sometimes you question why you're doing all this discipline work, why you're doing all this training, why you're doing all this work on yourself. Like, this year's proved to me exactly why I've done it, and I've handled lockdown like a fucking boss. I've grown a new business from it. My health and fitness has stayed pretty much on point. Like, everything's been fine. Like, it's sucked, don't get me wrong. It's been hard. Like, haven't been able to see some of my family for a bit, and all that stuff that everybody's going through. No, this is again just reiterated that what I'm doing is the right thing. Like, working on myself, the path that I'm on, the discipline side, it's all been worth every ounce, and every torturous bit of dedication that I've put into it has worked. And I'm seeing it work in the guys that I'm working with as now. Alf and Ryan and Carl and all those lads that we're involved with.
They'll be buzzing. They've got a shout out, by the way.
They're seeing the benefits of it now as well. Like, you can thrive during tough times. I think that's a great lesson for anybody who's listening, to know that you can thrive during this time.
And I think it's important to know, and it was said to me by I think it was by Paul on one of his trainings early on in lockdown. It really stuck with me, even down to a conversation I had with someone yesterday about falling back to your level of training when times get tough, when things get hard. And like, let's not kid ourselves, whether it's global pandemics, whether it's economic downturns, whether it's individual stuff that happens to us individually, this isn't going to be the last tough time in any of our lives. And I would say this, how grateful or how pleased I am with myself that really I've only started really working on my mindset in a structured way in the last 18 months, properly, really giving it time, effort, money, everything else. And I'm so glad I've done that, because I've seen so many people who just haven't got the level of training or the level of self-awareness, self-knowledge to tackle. And I think this is such a wake-up call for people to take the word mental health is used so loosely, but our mindsets, how our minds work, to take it seriously as much as our bodies.
Mate, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had like wobbles, especially in the first one. Like, I took it as an opportunity to stay in bed a bit longer, and that went on to then be a bit longer and a bit longer and longer, and eventually I was getting out of bed at like 8 a.m. and not feeling good about it. So I kind of changed that quickly. But look, I think when you look around at guys now, some guys will be saying, look, COVID's here, like, for that reason, I'm drinking a bit more, my diet's not as good, I'm not exercising, And that's cool. But you could easily flip that round and say, because of that, you know, my diet's changed for the positive. I'm walking every day. It depends, right? It depends what you want to do this time. Again, I try not to be too judgmental because, you know, we can sit here with logic from a good place and say, look, every guy should have that attitude. But they don't, and it's tough. It'd be nice if more guys did have that attitude. But again, I think it's what you put your attention on, right? It's like that thing we talk of a palate, what you absorb, you know, sitting there watching the news all day. Like, it's just going to eat. It's going to get you. It's going to get you eventually. You can't afford to do it. So now's the time to double down on a bit more reading, to have more positive conversations with people. And yes, discuss struggle, but do it with, you know, there to be some outcome of progress or some, well, don't really do a solution because it's not always that easy, but, you know, take something from it. Take something from it rather than bitch and moan, because we know that doesn't really help.
Maybe chuckle a little bit when you said that. Considering what I was like, first 2 weeks probably of the first lockdown, first 3 weeks. When you're saying you're getting out of bed a bit later and it's 8 o'clock, like I know there'll be some people who go like, I wasn't out of bed till midday, I wasn't out of my pajamas till 4 o'clock, and it just shows the different, like how different we all are. But what it leads me on to is, I know it's something that's the cornerstone of your coaching.
Yeah.
I'm introducing it to members at Hit Zone now as well. You know, and it's something I do through your coaching, and it really helps me. And I'll do it for the rest of my life, I think. And this is around kind of daily action. Yeah, we've got these big goals. We've got where we want to get to, whether it's like losing much weight, running a marathon, you know, whatever it is within our families, etc., etc. But those daily actions, and for you, for example, getting out of bed by a certain time, and those daily priorities, like how when you're feeling, I'm not saying necessarily in the pit, in that dark place, but when you're feeling crap, when things aren't going your way, when all that, how do you make those things happen? Like what's your internal dialogue to get yourself to go, you know what, I've got to do these daily actions, even if they're small things like get out of bed by a certain time?
Yeah, I mean, what you're seeing now, when you see my priorities are to the level that I'm at now, they never used to be this big. But I mean, where these priorities started from, Stu, was the fact that I was so sick and tired of failing like everything I'd do, like everything. And my answer to the solution was to try and aim bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, because I'd set these goals, fail, have this horrible time beating myself up, feeling demotivated. Then I'd get like this resurgence and go again. But I'd feel like it was the right thing to do to aim bigger, ask more of myself. I did that for years, like, and that's quite frustrating and painful as a guy, you know, when you just fucking fail at everything. So what happened was then, like, I stopped believing myself. Like, if I said I was going to do something, guess what? Back in my mind, I was like, Alex, you ain't doing shit. You ain't doing nothing. So
I know that chat, yeah.
Most guys do, you know. It sucks. I don't think there's anything worse for a man to not believe his own word, like. Because there's a lot of, you know, we've all got trust issues in the world, but when you don't trust yourself, like, you're fucked. So I went right back to, like, I'm not joking, the very basics. Like, you know, this, you hear people say all the time, just make your bed. Like, that's literally where I started from. So I still had the ambition in me. I still had the drive in me. Like, that hadn't gone, but I had to, like, you know, we spoke about that honesty and looking at yourself. I had to go, Alex, you're not ready to go big yet. You're not the guy who's capable of pulling off these big goals, no matter how much desire you've got or how much motivation you've got to do them. You haven't got the skill, dude. So I had to go back, get really good at, like, I'm talking the basics. And when you're in a bad place, dude, like, sometimes your hygiene even goes, like, you know, you're not showering every day. You sleep twice a day. I went right back to that level of self-care, like, get your hygiene right. I mean, I was 15 stone as well, dude. I've gained 3 stone during this shit time. And, you know, for anyone that knows me, that's unheard of. Like, you know,
I couldn't imagine you, like, having only known you for a year. I couldn't imagine you, like.
Well, the thing is, I still rocked it in the t-shirt. You know, I can still hide it in the t-shirt. Like, you know, my face feel that a bit, but like, I was a master, by the way, and I still am at hiding how I really feel or what's going on. Like, I can. Takes a hell of a lot for me for people to know if I'm struggling or not. Like, I'm really good at disguising it, which is almost like, you know, it's a weakness, really. It's not a couple
of times in the DX group and things or whatever since I've been with you that you've had a bad week, and like I'm still getting a WhatsApp every morning if I haven't given you the details I need to give you. It's still show up, and that again is something that probably whatever level you're at, showing up regardless.
Yeah, that's where the discipline is now. That all this training I've done allows me to feel like shit sometimes, but still get things done. Where 5 years ago, when I felt like shit, it would have resulted in me doing nothing, eating shit, drinking loads. So although the feelings are saying, it's how I manage it now. And all of a sudden, you do your journal at the end of the week, and you realise, Alex, you've done all right, man. Like you might have felt like shit this week, but you've done fucking good. And haven't you got
a bad week? And a journal appeared out of the back of a bad week, man. I remember that DX journal. It was a not good week, and you pulled a journal out of it. And something again, I'm interested in. I think people will be interested in here, because when you hear the words discipline, discipline, you immediately think strict. You immediately think no fun. All of these kind of things. Now, again, you still have a few beers. You still have a pizza. You still have days where you don't maybe do as much what we call work. How how do you build that in so that you do it well? A lot of people I coach and deal with and work with, second, if they're on it, if you want to call it that, on plan, whatever you want to call it. We talked about it with Grant and Ross. That's it, Ross. Last night, Ross disappeared, didn't he? Because it's the connection. That's why. We talked about it's either on plan or off plan. It's either you're being good or you're being bad. Discipline, and he said something to me months ago. Discipline makes life easy, and everybody I've said that to looks at me like I've lost the plot. Yeah, explain it. Go on, explain what you mean. What we mean by that.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, discipline, it is about doing what you said you do. Like that's what discipline means to me. It means doing the work, doing what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like doing it. So discipline is needed in all areas of life. Think about anything you want to achieve. Like you will always need the base skill level of discipline. But yeah, you're right. People think of it as severe restriction, an ultimate sacrifice. And that's not the case. Like your goal will ultimately depend on how much sacrifice you have to give. But for example, like tonight, Stu, when I've been to the gym after this, it will require discipline after this call to go to the gym, right? Yeah. But it will also require discipline for me to turn my phone off and chill out. Like you need discipline like everywhere you fucking go. Like it's there, but it gets you good things. Yeah. So if you're disciplined with your food, guess what you get? You get to be in great shape and be healthy. If you're disciplined with your money, you get to have money to spend on doing nice things. Yeah, right. It's a good thing to have. Being disciplined can make life easy. Because if I'm disciplined with my food on a Sunday and I prep my food for the week, guess what? I don't have to stress or worry about my food. I don't have to think what I'm having. I just have to bang it in the micro and it's done. So that discipline, as Jocko says, the famous Jocko Willing always said, discipline creates that freedom. But again, I think it's anything, dude. You've got to experience it to fully understand it. Because the danger is like you say, you hear the word discipline, you think, fuck that, man, I don't want that life. It's boring at all. But I've lived a life with no discipline, and it took me to that place of mental breakdown. Like that was the result of a lack of discipline. So, when I was drinking whenever I wanted, which was at 9 a.m. in the morning, that's what it got me. That's what it got me. So I've kind of experienced life without it and life with it. Both are tough, by the way. It's just the results of being disciplined get you the things you want, where the results of not don't.
Yeah, and I think we probably most people who are watching this will, excuse me, know that feeling from this kind of, excuse me.
You're right, Stuart.
Lockdown, yeah, that's right. It's not COVID. We're good. Going into lockdown. Then coming out of lockdown, and it's pretty much like into the Christmas period. And I know full well, and I'll hold my hands up. I had coming back from holiday where I'd smashed it for 6 months, not just my eating, not drinking, just generally all areas of life, super focused. Come back into isolation, 1 week out of isolation, into lockdown, then it's Christmas. And I was getting to the stage where like eating badly was becoming almost a chore because my body was just going, I don't like this. I don't feel good. I feel heavy. I feel sluggish. And it just shows that it pretty much takes as much discipline to like cock up as it does to do not discipline, sorry, effort. It takes as much effort to have a beer as it does to have a glass of water. Like you still got to get up, walk to the sink, do whatever.
Life is painful whether you're disciplined or not. Like I say, it's the outcome that changes. So what you're experiencing over Christmas and what I experienced over Christmas, when I let myself like really go for a few days, with no guilt, but beers and food, eventually that pain point starts to creep in a little bit and says, Alex, you start, you put on a few pounds, that's fine, but you're not starting to feel like as good as you usually do. And that little reminder of that bit of pain says, right, get your fucking ass in gear, it's time to go. And I think, again, when you've experienced, like you have and like I have, places of pain before, like in your life, severe pain, like you don't want to go back there. Like that pain is enough to scare the shit out of you, to motivate you to keep pushing forward. And still today, I mean, it's like, what is it? I'm 36 now. 28 was probably my lowest. Like, that was 8 years ago. It still feels really fresh, but it was 8 years ago. But I'm still so terrified of going back there that that's what gets me out of bed every morning. That's what makes me do the work, because I'm not going back to that place, because that was bad. And I don't know if I'd survive that again. Like that was torture. There's my motivation for life, not to go back there. Yeah.
And what do you say? So I did a video on this yesterday, just onto our Facebook page, and I've noticed that it's crept in since before Christmas. Load of messages from people who are interested in Hit Zone. You've probably had it with coaching, especially because for those of you that obviously don't know, Alex also has a gym. Hence why he said he's going to the gym. He's not like got some secret place he can public gym that's open.
Well covered.
But is saying like, I'll be back in touch in January to make a start then. Whether it's a physical thing, an online thing, whatever. And then now, less than a week after New Year in January and all this, people were saying, I'll be in contact with you after lockdown. That really grates on me. Yeah. Like, we don't know when this is going to end. We don't know what's around the corner. Is the vaccine going to work? All of this kind of stuff. Hopefully it all does work. What would you say to somebody? Like if a guy approached you and said, I'll start when lockdown's finished, who was overweight, out of shape, unhappy with themselves. I found it quite difficult to be eloquent in what I wanted to say yesterday on my video. But what would you say to someone if I'd have said to you, I'll wait till after Christmas till I kick off again?
What I would have said. I would have said, yeah, dude, you're not serious about this. You're not for my group or my plan. And again, with no judgment, but this is where I'll probably throw the gauntlet down to a guy who said, Alex, I'll start after COVID. I'd be like, cool, dude. That's exactly the kind of attitude I don't want in my group. No, I don't care what position you start in or what your ability is. The only thing I ask from all of my guys is commitment. Like, that's it. Like, do your best, whatever that is, whatever level that is, and I'm happy. But yeah, I turn that around on whoever's speaks to me now and go, dude, that's cool. But that shows me your level of commitment.
Yeah. Those words that you say about I say it to our members now, they stick with me. They got me through South Shields Beach and the sea and that horrible disgusting stuff we did. No one's ever going to be the same fitness level as each other. No one's ever going to be the same education level as each other, etc. All that any single person in the world can do is give their 100%.
Well, dude, when I'm in my car and I'm driving to work or whatever, and I see somebody who's severely overweight, like pounding the street running, right? And like we can sit here and debate whether that's good for you or not. I don't care, right? I'm like, fucking respect to that person.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolute respect. And same on the beach when we did that session, any of the guys that were struggling, that were doing the work, they were the guys that I was really getting passionate about. And like, that's what I love. Like, no one wants to see some super fit dude fucking breezing a session. Like, what can I learn from that? I love the struggle. This is why I love talking about the struggle. It's so much more fucking fun than the guy who's brilliant at everything. Oh, I'm not interested in that. I love that. I love a comeback story. Anybody that's kind of like fucked up or gone backwards or is not in a great place, I'm like, dude, you have got so much opportunity to turn things around now, to create an inspirational story that others look at and go, wow, how did he do that? Like, I think that's just so, like, you can tell I'm getting fucking pumped up.
And I think these days with in the age of social media, and we can debate all day about how much we love social media and all of the rest of it, but and again, it's often something that's said in the circles and our peer groups we mix in. We don't know who's watching, but we all can have an impact. Like people will look up to coaches and things like that, but I often get as much inspiration from the members who I work with and what they do. I mean, yesterday evening I took an online course session at the last minute, and we had like a 77-year-old lady on there, and then like people who have been with us 5 years in great shape, etc. And like I got such a buzz from Olive, she's called. She's amazing. She's a member over in Northern Ireland, but such a buzz from seeing her. Yeah, she couldn't do some of the exercises in a certain way as others, but that to me, like,
better, isn't it? Yeah. Somebody asked me my top 3 inspirations, and like, you know, it would have been easy to go, you know, Jeff Thompson and Paul Moore and, you know, all the popular guys. But, you know, I started to look closer to home, some of my clients, and, you know.
You said Ryan, didn't you? You actually said Ryan, because of what Ryan did last year.
Ryan's done an unbelievable, right? Check this out, right? Ryan's got a wife and 4 kids.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm like, dude, like, I can just about look after myself and just about manage my own life on my own. Like, how the fuck do you do it with 5 kids? I'm like, you are somebody I look up to. And again, I don't think Ryan believed it when I told him. Just like Harvey Holt put something out the other day about who you look up to in the fitness industry, and he mentioned my name. Yeah. And I still find that bizarre. I'm still like, dude, what the fuck? What planet?
Yeah.
You know, my name's listed with other big players in the industry, and I'm like, dude, why have you thrown my name? So I don't think we realise sometimes the impact of that. I still struggle to acknowledge that I make a difference. Like, I still find that hard. Yeah.
And I actually think that's a strength. I've always said I've blows my mind. 5 years after opening the doors at Hit Zone, 5 and a bit years. Like, it sounds strange, but people pay me money and then say thank you to me. Yeah, that still blows my mind. Let alone the fact that anybody might look. But I think that humility is what we need as coaches, particularly, is what we need, because the day you start believing your own hype is probably when it's going to go off the.
Yeah, well, my writing coach said to me, she said, like, because I'm quite not negative with my writing, but, you know, I know my level. And she said, yeah, I'm always worried about those writers that I work with that think they're fucking brilliant, because they're always not. But dude, do you remember the first time you took money off a client? Did you not feel it like, well, like, what you did? Like,
I mean, I've had jobs before paid, but this was like all me. This was actually for me to provide something. And I think it was in the book I'm reading, Darren Hardy, Compound Effect. And he said,
I heard of it. I read that one. Yeah.
He said that most failure comes from our success, because we stop doing the getting out of bed early, or the having 3 liters of water a day, or making our food on a Sunday, or whatever it is. And most of our failure comes from getting good at something.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I mean, how many clients do you know, or how many people do you know, or how many times have you done it? I know I have. When I've been in my best shape, it's sometimes led to my worst shape.
Yeah,
like you say, you use all your motivation, your willpower to get there. You get the photos on Facebook of you looking like sexy as fuck for a day.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, boom, your standards slip. You don't.
Look at me with holiday.
Yeah.
I put my budgie smugglers on, and then once they'd been worn and taken a photo of, I'd managed, and you know, we can talk about this with the approach of coaching things probably for a different day, but you know, maybe I needed that couple of months afterwards to realize how much I needed to keep the discipline up. But I took, you know, however long it was to lose a certain amount of weight and get in the shape I was, and then because I didn't continue with the things that had got me there, I was back in the shape I was.
Yeah. You know, it becomes a bit harder, doesn't it? Each time, time you have to start again. And this is what I say to everybody: just keep showing up, because then you don't have to start again.
I mean,
hard, man. Like, it's
imagine if what a place I'd be in if I hadn't. Okay, things weren't going great, but if I hadn't continued showing up every day, even if it was just to set a priority, because I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. In between October and the business was flying. That was brilliant, and there were areas of my life that were going very well. But from a kind of fitness and health point of view, it was a bit of a down couple of months. And as you say, showing up and at least keeping some semblance of discipline there, has led to me making, you know, really pleased with a great start to the new year.
Yeah, this goes back to the original point, wasn't it? It's like, well, that lack of discipline ultimately has made your life a bit harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you've got to do that again.
Yeah,
and that's a grind. That's a mental grind as well, because now you've got to get yourself up for it mentally, and you've got to put yourself through that again.
And I think what you said earlier about, you know, and thankfully I've, again, journaling, etc., helps me with this. But do I trust myself? You know, when you know, do I trust myself to stay in that shape? I've got something to trust myself.
Yeah, what a question that is. I mean, how many people really trust themselves? Like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there. I trust myself a lot more than I used to. But I don't trust myself 100% yet. No, I mean, I think that's a life's worth of work right there. To know yourself properly and to trust yourself 100%. There's not many men on this planet that are in that position. I need daily little reminders. Alex, this is the right thing to do. Go and do it. I need those reminders because a couple of weekends on the pop, you start partying again, and I do a lot of writing. I'm writing about this at the minute. Like when you drink and when alcohol's in your life, your courage goes up through the roof, but your logic goes out the window. So you end up doing a stupid thing. Well, I do anyway. I'll do stupid.
I've been there.
Yeah, so that discipline, like it doesn't just cost me my physique. It's cost me relationships in the past. It's cost me finance. It's cost me business. It's cost me some big things, man.
Yeah, I agree. Got one last question for you. We've got a bit of a hot battle going on in our. We have a private group for our members on Facebook, and got a bit of a hot battle. We've got the World Cup of desserts going on at the moment. So, if you had to choose a winner, favorite dessert of Alex Myers, what would it be?
Okay. Well, I like custard with chocolatey things in. So anything like a chocolate fondant, when you put the spoon in it and the chocolate melts.
Oh, those like melt in the middle spun.
Yeah, I think they're called bombs or something. So I put 2 of those in with a custard for 2 people.
Nice.
I eat it all. Yeah, and then you put the spoon in the sponge thing, and the chocolate just runs into the custard.
Making me hungry. I'm good because my favourite lost in the last 16, which was creme brulee. It lost to sticky toffee pudding.
I don't know creme brulee. That's a waste of a dessert, creme brulee. I'm not having that one.
No, I'm a big fan. Profiteroles are my other one. They're
profiteroles versus creme brulee, a different game, mate. You load up those profiteroles and take them.
It's just they're Moorish, aren't they? It's like, man, you know what?
It's too small, man, and it's almost too healthy for a dream dessert. Like you need something dirtier than creme brulee, I think. Do it properly, do you know what I mean?
The input, so I'm gonna anyway, I think that's us done. I really appreciate your time.
Mate, anytime. I could speak for hours on this shit, you know that.
Yeah, it'll be good to get back on in a bit and have another chat. But
cool.
I'll be.
How was your first time using StreamYard? Is it StreamYard?
It's not too bad. I've done one interview before on it with our owner of our studio over in America, and it worked quite well. But when I say it worked quite well, he was trying to walk around a freezing cold derelict studio that was just getting ready to, because he's almost ready to open now. But I love it. It's good, and we've got. And actually, there we go. That's perfect. Alison's just commented saying it's really, really interesting. So thank you, Alison. And Alison's actually the next chat I'm going to have, which is at 12 o'clock on Saturday. Completely different ball game. She owns a nail salon, where Jodie gets her nails and I don't get mine done there. And yeah, we're going to just have a chat about what she's done, a bit of charity work.
Jodie won't want to see those bad boys. Look at those.
No, Alison, look at me now, man. Don't look at those. Mine aren't too.
Dude, talking about habits and stuff, that is one habit that I could do with sorting out. I chew my fingernails so badly. My hands have got calluses all over my hands. I'm too stubborn to use like moisturiser and stuff like that.
I've had to. My moisturiser normally sits on that thing, but I'm going to have to move it in case anyone. Yeah, with all my makeup now. Anyway, yeah, thanks very much, and thanks for the comments, guys. And Alex, I'll be checking in with you in the morning. So
really, brother, thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoyed that.